Hi, at Danum Blades I make a variety of different knives, all to be used in the field, and with the help of those that use them in the field I've been able to tailor knives to their designs and requirements. I can use a variety of different handle materials, different steels for the blades, and also different blade finishes as well. So some people prefer a Scandinavian grind while others want a flat grind with a secondary bevel, but it can all be tailored to your own requirements. From this, which is a wood and resin handle, to acrylic with G10 liners. We're going to start with a knife that's already cut out and drilled. We've got to clean the edges up. Once we've done that, we can move on to putting the bevels on. These knives have already started with the bevels. These bevels have been put on with a 60 grit belt, and I'm going to work through my belts to 120 and then 320. I'm going to add some of the engineering dye each time so I can see the scratch marks, because each time I go it onto the grinder I need to be able to remove all the scratch lines from the previous belt. I've gone from 36 grit up to 120 grit. Removing all the 36 grit lines, now this one's ready for going up to a 240 grit. Right, now I've got it off the grinder, I need to remove all these lines altogether. So what I'll do, I'll clamp it onto my board. Bit of lubrication on there. With the grinding stones, I'm going to polish these lines out. Once the polishing stone's taken all the grit lines out, this blade will then be going for heat treating. So heat treating is a process where it will harden the blade up. Once the blade's been hardened, after taking it up to 1075 degrees, and it needs to be softened again. So it'll go in for a tempering cycle. So the tempering cycle is at 230 degrees, and it'll have to do that a couple of times. So this knife has now been heat treated, and it's ready for the final finish. This knife being a Scandinavian grind, so the sides need to be polished, and then the bevel needs to be added and finished off. So it's got a nice and sharp. Once I've flattened the sides down, I've got to put the bevel onto the knife. So I'll set my jig at 13 degrees and then work through my grits again. I've got to take it from 36 to take off most of the material, then I can go through the finer grits to make it nice and finished, finishing off with 1200 grit and then putting it onto a polishing wheel to get that fine edge. So for handle materials I use a combination of different things. So this one here is a resin with a pine cone added to it. This one here is another resin one, but with a wooden inlay instead. I also use different acrylics and occasionally wood from time to time. So this knife has had the handles glued on already. It's a combination of black and orange G10. It's also had an orange G10 pin added to it and a lanyard tube. The next job for this one is to contour the handles and shape it all up so it's nice to hold. So this is a finished handle. The sides have been contoured. The edges have been taken off, it's been sanded down, then it's been polished on the buffing wheel. I might need to finish off the blade. On this particular knife I'm going to be taking the tape off and then putting a final bevel on. Other knives the bevels are already there, so it's a case that the knife is finished at that point. This then needs to have a housing made for it, so the sheath's got to be made. I'm Alan Johnson at Danum Blades, and if you want to get in touch with me, use the links below.